think it's time for a new phone. Hello, and welcome back to Unhelped Yoda. Today we are going to be doing a review / impressions video of the Galaxy Z Fold 4. I recently picked up the phone. We're going to jump into an unboxing real quick, show off what it looks like coming out the box, everything new, and then I'll talk about how how the phone has been for me for the last week. Let's get started. Pretty large. It is a pretty large phone. I think than I was expecting, but I like it. This is always my favorite part of new electronics, so. Here is the open fold, and there it is folded. It's not a bad size. It's not a bad size. I mean, that's not like super thick. I think compared to my old phone, this is about the same thickness, to be honest. My old phone is really old. Right, for comparison, they're not the same thickness, but it's not as far off as I would think. Like, it's maybe a little less than half of twice as thick, but it's a little bit smaller too. As you can see, there's a bit off there and on the side, so it's not super big compared to my old phone. Once I get the case on it though, it'll probably be, you know, much bulkier than it is now, but that's fine. It's got a way better camera, at least by appearance. I mean, there's three. Mine has a cracked, mine is shattered here. Also the front shattered. I don't know if you could see that when I first put on there. Mine is shattered. I've had this phone for 3 years, and this is what it's looked like the entire time. I bought, is it 3? Pretty sure it's 3 years. I bought this right before the pandemic, and it broke about a week after I bought it. I fell off of my truck at work, and it shattered, and it's been like this ever since. So after a long time of putting off buying a new phone, this one was actually a relatively free phone. I think I paid like $50 for it or something from my service. But, you know, after putting off for 3 years, 'cause I really don't like buying phones, I decided that if I'm going to buy a new one, I'm going to get something I actually want. And this looks really cool. This is something I did really, really want to get when I started looking for phones. And as I looked into it, I saw this. I was like, ooh, you know, it's a regular phone, but it opens up to be almost the size of a small tablet. We're going to turn this on, do some setup, and we'll come back to this. We'll show a little bit, and then I'm actually going to take about a week to live with the phone, so to speak, you know, really use it and see how I like it, and then we'll come back and we'll do a actual review of the phone and how I feel about it after that week. So I've had this phone for about a week now. This is obviously it opened, and got some good news and some bad news. We'll start with the bad just because it's honestly really, really simple, the things I don't like about the phone. Number one, and this is probably the most minor thing, but also like the weirdest thing, like it's strange. This is the official Samsung case, right? It doesn't have a screen protector, which, I mean, fine, whatever. It's raised quite a bit here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got a nice raise, so if it falls, it's not gonna actually hit the screen. I would be more concerned, honestly, with the cameras not having any kind of raising. I feel like there should be like a rim above this to kind of protect that camera screen, but whatever. Not that big of a deal. My problem with the case is right here. So this is the pen, and the pen comes out, and then there's this. So you either have the pen or you have the kickstand. And I kind of want both. Like, you either have the kickstand in, which is nice, like it does work pretty well. You can see it set up here. It works pretty well. It's a nice kickstand to have, but you can't have it and the pen at the same time. And I kind of want both at the same time. I would have preferred if this was just how the phone was naturally made. Like, this was the case normal, and then the pen had, like, either a way to just sit on top of it that you could pull off, or, I don't know, literally anything else, honestly. Maybe you have to take the pen out to use the kickstand or something like that. Like, the pen goes through it, and then it just splits in half here, and you can take the pen out and then open the kickstand. I feel like that would have been fine, at the very least, but the fact that you have to switch between the two is a little annoying. I do use the pen more than the kickstand, so I keep the pen on it. But that means I just never have my kickstand. Unless I want to carry this random little piece of plastic around with me, I just never have my kickstand. It's not a huge deal. It's more of a minor nuisance, but worth noting that if you get the official Galaxy case, you just don't have your kickstand. I've seen some other cases that keep the pen on this side. My concern with that is that those seem to be, at least in the reviews, I don't have it personally, at least in the reviews, they seem to be very bulky. They're already kind of like thick, like metal-like cases, I guess, and like having a little brick here that just the pen sits in and shuts. It doesn't hold it in any way. The pen rattles around a little bit in there. Seemed a little annoying. I don't know. I don't have it, but it just seems annoying. So I don't really want to get into that either. I do like the case overall. I just feel like the pen kickstand thing is a little bit of an inconvenience. They could have moved the pen even like here and had the kickstand here, and that would have been significantly better in my opinion. Even if it is a little bit more awkward to have the pen in the middle, you don't really notice. Or at least I don't think I'd really notice it. But that's pretty much it for that. The case is whatever. It's not that big of a deal. If you really don't like the case, you can get a different case, or you can just not have one on your phone if you want to live dangerously. On to the actual phone and things I have to say about that. The screen is really narrow. For comparison, this is my old phone compared to this one, and while this is a little bit taller, not much, but a little bit taller, the screen width here is significant. You can see I'm losing all of this space, which doesn't seem like a lot, and I mean, for most things it's not. The problem is if I'm trying to text on this little screen, I often hit the wrong buttons because it's just a little too cramped for me. Really only comes up if I'm trying to do something quickly. Most of the time, if I'm just sitting on my phone talking to someone, just open it up and it's not as big a deal. This is significantly more comfortable. I have no real issue with it in this form factor. As long as it's opened, it's fantastic. This is a little narrow, but it's really not that big of a deal. Again, this is a very minor complaint, and really it's just when texting, and really only if I'm texting like quick replies or something like that. If I just open up to, you know, say something really quickly like to my wife or something, it's just sometimes I mess up words and it takes a little bit longer. I'm sure with time and getting used to it, it won't be as big of a deal. It's only been a week, but yeah, just it's a little narrow. Not really a huge complaint, but a complaint. But that's pretty much it for my complaints with the phone so far. Oh, no, I got one more. This is another one that's like not a big deal, but is a little annoying. The thumb sensor, my phone's never had a thumb sensor. I've never had one with one. But the thumb sensor is the little bar here, the little button that turns the phone on, and that's how you unlock it. It works like 80% of the time. Every once in a while, it just doesn't read the thumbprint. Like if you're a little to the side, if you're a little off, it won't work. But also sometimes like I'll be putting my phone in my pocket, and if I hit it by accident, it'll turn my phone right on. And that can be a little annoying. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Usually it just takes a second try and it's open without a problem. Of course I can't get to not read it now because of course it'll read it now. But in habit, it just kind of sometimes doesn't read. Not a huge deal. Just a little weird that they put it here instead of like on the screen or something. But whatever, it works, it's fine. It's really not that big of a deal. It is just a little annoying. Onto the positives though, because I have a lot more of those. With this side, I like that you get your own, this is its own screen. This is its own everything. So when you're using the phone, you can have it set up in a way that includes everything you use on this part of the phone. So all my quick access stuff is right here, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to dig through anything. It's all just right here. But if I open the phone, I kind of get more of the stuff that I use that I don't use on a regular basis, but I use consistent enough. So like my Dunkin' Donuts app, my Planet Fitness, I use these things while I'm out, Duel Links. I use these things while I'm out and about doing my normal routine for the day. If I go to the gym, if I'm at work, I use Duel Links. But I use these things as I'm out throughout the day, but I don't really need quick access to them. If I'm using one of these apps, 90% of the time my phone is open like this anyway, so it's nice to have them in a way that's set up where this is like its own setup, and this is its own setup. Also, I don't like that I have to change hands to open it. I guess you can add fingers, but I haven't done that yet. So that's more of a me problem, it's not a complaint. But yeah, so I like that it's its own thing. I also like that you can have your own background on this one. This has its own background. The artist for these backgrounds that I'm using is right here. She's cool. She posts a lot of Pokemon stuff, but this is what I chose for now. I had to get new stuff for this phone because none of my media transferred over. It doesn't take an SD card. We'll get that in a second. And this is the other background. So you get nice big backgrounds and you can kind of set everything up. For the actual phone's like screens and user interface, I have no complaints. Back to that SD card. You can't put an SD card in this. A little annoying. But I got the, I think 350 or 550, something like that. I got the larger version of the phone. So it has the most memory the phone can have that it is available with. So it shouldn't be a big deal. My only issue is that I can't really transfer stuff to this phone without doing a lot of extra work that I just don't really feel like doing. So for right now, I've lost all of my pictures, all of my extra stuff that was on my old phone. Again, I can transfer it over, but when you're talking 32 to 50 gigs worth of stuff, that's going to take quite a bit of time, and I just don't really feel like spending that time. So it's not an issue per se, but it is an inconvenience to be going from an SD card to a non-SD card. I know this is much more common now. A lot of phones just don't have the SD card slots. I know Apple just never really has, and most phones have more built-in memory. I just wish the option for an SD card slot was at least there. I don't see why there isn't an option for it. The cost of the phone, because it is pretty expensive for the phone, I feel like the SD card slot should be there. Even if you don't need it, you're getting all this memory. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit more memory. That's not really a big deal, so I don't see why it's not in here. But again, that's just a minor complaint. It doesn't really seem like it's going to come up, but I'm also planning on having this phone for the next 3 to 5 years, so in the future, that might be a bigger issue, and it's more of an inconvenience. There's no reason for it not to have it. I don't see why it doesn't. And that's pretty much it with the phone. It's just a phone. I'm not a huge phone person. There's a reason I had this shitty brick phone for like 3 years or 2 years, something like that. I'm not really a phone person. I don't like buying new phones, but this seems to work pretty well. I do like the sizing when actually using it. Like this is very comfortable. It feels well. I have no real issues outside of some minor things, and mostly it's been a positive experience. I do want to talk about the camera a little bit. I haven't had a chance to really use the camera a whole lot, but what I have used it for is very good. I'm going to try to put some pictures and like short videos up on screen of stuff just like in the game room, nothing crazy. But it's a nice camera so far. I haven't had any issues. Everything seems pretty good. These cameras are obviously much better than like the little one here and the little hidden one that's in here. Those aren't that great, but they're still fine. Like, they're definitely better than what I used to have. Even those cameras, which are considered not the best, are significantly better than what I used to have. So there is a little bit of, yeah, these cameras are really good to me, but maybe not to someone who is used to having a more modern phone. My old phone had a really shitty camera that was basically unusable. These are just under the quality of my actual DSLR here. So honestly, this will probably end up being my new second camera when I do videos if I need a second camera, because this is really good. We'll put some video up of this, but I'm really liking it. So that's pretty much it. So that was pretty much it for the first impressions of the Galaxy Z Fold 4. Like I said, I'm actually really liking the phone. I haven't really had too much of an issue. Most of my issues are just minor. I think the case has been more of an issue for me than anything on the phone itself. And even that, like I said, is not a big deal. It's more just a why, like, why? Why can't I have a kickstand and a pen? But whatever, it's not a big deal. Most of the time I don't even need the kickstand, I'm just using the pen, and the kickstand really only ever comes up, like, occasionally. It's nothing that I've noticed. I haven't noticed me missing it, more so I know I have it, so it's like, oh, I could have been using that, and I can't. Other than that, really liking the phone. Should you buy this or not? Kind of up to you. If you want a fold phone or a flip phone, I have absolutely no issue with this, and I think it's probably worth picking up if you just want a new Galaxy phone. I personally don't like Apple products. I just don't think they're very good. So if you want a Galaxy, I think this is a very good one, and I have zero complaints. The nice size of the tablet screen is well worth it, and it being able to fold, it's not very thick, it's nice and pretty compact compared to what I thought it was going to be. Even with the pen, it fits in my pockets, which I usually kind of wear like skinny jean type pants, so it fits in without any real issue. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.